you on the stage. To your left, we have members of the Select Board chaired by Ms. Spiewak and including Mr. Lancet, Mr. Singer, Mr. Coronis, Ms. Zarowski. We have Town Administrator, Mr. Golis, and Town Council, Mr. Hennigan. And to your right, to my left, we have our wonderful Town Clerk, Ms. LaCroix. In the event of an emergency, please exit the auditorium to the rear. If there is a need, you can also egress out here and make your way back through the hallways. Each year we welcome non-residents and non-voters to observe town meeting. If there are any non-voters, could you please raise your hands if you're not a child? Okay, we welcome children too. They can't vote. We're glad you're here. Any non-residents are not allowed to speak during the meeting unless called upon by me, the moderator, and then voted by a majority of town meeting. I'd like to thank State Representative John Marcy, who I just deputized as Assistant Town Moderator. He's now sworn in, and he will be running the room in the cafeteria to make sure that we're following the same procedures and that all the votes are counted. All voters in this room should have received an electronic voting device. Does anyone have a piece of paper instead of a device? Yes, you do. Okay. I will take your votes. Anyone else up here have a paper instead of a device? No, it's just 3 people? Okay. I will take your votes immediately. Thank you. All right. We're going to practice with these electronic devices. If anyone leaves the room, it's really important that you turn your device in at the table where you checked in, and that you don't hand it to a non-voter or another voter to submit a proxy vote for you. That would cause all kinds of delays and problems with this meeting. All registered voters are required to remain seated during the meeting, and due to fire code, I have to ask you to take a seat. We do have some room in the back of the room here for people that are still standing to please take a seat. And our fire chief is here today, and I don't know what he does if you don't follow the orders, but if you please do so, that would be great. Okay. Please be respectful and refrain from side conversations during the meeting. It makes it hard for people to hear, and that becomes a point of order, which means the meeting stops until we resolve the fact that people cannot hear what's happening. And it detracts people from their ability to hear the proceedings. You may rise to the point of privilege if at any time you are unable to hear the proceedings. So if you can't hear something, you can stand up and say, Madam Moderator, I rise to the point of privilege, and I will call on you. You can say, I can't hear. And we'll repeat whatever happened or change the microphone. As Thomas Jefferson wrote, it is very material that order, decency, and regularity be preserved in a dignified public body. Concerning disorderly conduct under Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 17, if you fail to comply with our established protocols, you will be warned by me, then asked to withdraw from the meeting, and then removed from the meeting if necessary. I would like to not have to do that, so I appreciate everyone's participation and attempt to be polite. Before we turn our attention to the proceedings, please rise, remove your hats, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please remain standing as we remember the citizens of Charleston who are serving in the military, and including those who have served and those who continue to protect and defend our freedoms. Thank you very much. You can have a seat. I can play it completely. We will now review the procedures and protocols for town meetings. Some of you may be familiar, but some may not, so I ask for your patience while I explain to make sure we all know how to participate. The town meeting is the legislative body of the town of Charlton, and we follow the parliamentary procedures published in town meeting time. It's not the same as Robert's Rules of Order. So it is its own thing. I have my handy dandy book right here if you have any questions. It's a snooze of a read, but it's very important that we do follow the legislative process. All discussion has to be directed through me, the moderator. When considering action on an article, I will call for a motion, and so we have one question tonight. I will call for a motion and a second, and then we'll ask for the recommendation from the Board of Selectmen if they have issued one. Not tonight, okay? We'll make it easy. And then I'll open the floor for any discussion on the matter. If you wish to speak, please approach one of the two microphones, wait to be addressed by me, and I will ask you to state your name and your address in Charlton. If you do not live in Charlton, you do not have the right to address the town meeting, so I will not allow that this evening. Once I've recognized you, you can address your comments or questions to me. If there is a question for our attorney or for our administrator or some other public official, I will direct those questions to the public official if it's needed. And if not, off we go. We'll keep moving forward. And once the motion has been made, we have a second. We'll finish our discussion. And each person will have 3 minutes to speak, not more than 3. If you can keep it concise, that's great. If you're saying the same thing that someone already said, you really say that with your voting instrument. So you don't have to get up and repeat the argument for either side of the question. But please make sure that you're listening carefully to what others have said. Please avoid matters of personality. It is not appropriate to refer to other voters by name or to call upon others to speak. The motion this evening may not be amended. So this was presented as a citizen's petition, which is a particular form of legislative procedure. And I did speak with the petitioners, and their intention is to ask that the town vote on this question the way it is presented in the petition. So we will honor that this evening. I know there are people who would like to make amendments. There are other forums for that and other opportunities to provide input at a later date. But this evening we will not be taking amendments on the citizens' petition. Okay, when I call for a vote, your device will be activated. You're going to press green for yes, red for no, and your device will show the word OK when your vote has been received. You can press as many times as you want, but the last time you press before I close the voting will be the one vote that gets registered. Okay? Kind of like that morphine trip at the hospital. You can press as many times as you want, but it just won't give you one. Okay, we'll give you that one vote. All right. We're going to do a little test question. Do you hope we get a blizzard this winter? All right, you're going to vote now. Green for yes, red for no, and please confirm that your device says OK. Once the voting is complete. Stop voting now. Everyone in the room has voted. You have an issue with your device? It's not working. Okay, so then I'll announce the results of the vote, which is 312 people would like to have a blizzard, 212 would not, and 6 abstained. So if you don't vote, it counts as an abstention. We have another device here that's not working. Anyone who's not working, hold your hand up. And our town clerk will do that while I go start the meeting in the other room, and I'll be right back.
only the people who said their clicker didn't work. Test it one more time. 'Cause right now, the voting's over, so if you're clicking it now, it's not going to show that. So let me put one more question. I'll just duplicate the screen. Only do it if you think your clicker wasn't working. Okay? Okay, so anybody that needs to test their clicker, go ahead. If it does not show okay, raise your hand and we'll give you a hand count ticket. Sorry, that was me. I didn't hit go. Okay. So 31 people's clickers worked. So only raise your hand if it didn't have an okay this time.
Behind.
Anybody else up here?
All right, folks. I have a phone that connects us to the other room, so hopefully they can hear me. And they're amplifying the sound over there. We went through the same procedure. I had a young lady, little girl, help me with playing with the gavel, so she was pretty excited about that. And off we go. So, okay. All right. And so we begin. To either of the constables of the town of Charlton and the county of Worcester, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you're hereby directed to notify the inhabitants of the town of Charlton qualified to vote in elections to meet in Charlton Middle School this evening at 7 o'clock for the purpose of taking action on the following article. Article 1, exempt municipal building, grounds, or parking areas as prohibited areas pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 269, Section 10K2I. To see if the town will vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Section 4, to exempt town administrative buildings or offices, grounds, or parking areas thereof from being classified as a prohibited area for the possession of firearms, as outlined in General Law, Chapter 269, Section 10K2I, or take any action relative thereto or thereon. This is sponsored as a citizen's petition. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I will now open the floor to discussion. Anyone who wishes to speak on this matter may approach the microphone. You have less than 3 minutes. I will time you and ask that people wait to be called upon by the moderator. When making comments, it must stay within what they say is the four corners of the article. In other words, we are only dealing with the language that's on the paper in front of you. This is what we're voting on. We're not voting on bigger issues or smaller issues. We're only voting on what's in front of you. Okay, and I'm going to start this evening. Would you say your name and where you live in town?
Nancy Pecor, 360 Stafford Street.
Thank you, Nancy.
I am 5'2", 115 pounds. I carry my firearm everywhere legally possible because I can. My firearm is my equalizer. My life matters, and I refuse to be a victim. I don't want to be attacked by someone who is intent on doing me great bodily harm or death, whether I'm at Walmart, in Dexter Hall at a beekeeping demonstration, checking out books at the library, or buying dog licenses at the town hall. It is my right as a law-abiding citizen and a legal and responsible gun owner, sorry, I hate public speaking, to carry my firearm and defend myself anywhere. And for you to deny my personal and my constitutional civil rights because of your fear of firearms, that's on you. I am not a threat. You should educate yourself. Law-abiding citizens have been carrying firearms in administrative buildings for decades without any incidents, and all of you are not even aware of it, as we are responsible and vetted concealed firearm carriers. Law-abiding citizens are not the problem. In Charlton, over 25% of adult residents possess an LTC. These individuals have demonstrated their commitment to firearms, safety, and personal responsibility. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Disarming them in municipal buildings not only infringes on their rights, but also removes a layer of security from the community spaces. If someone does enter these places with ill intent, you'll be thankful a responsible person with an LTC will be in there to stop the threat. How crazy, delusional, and appalling is it, disgusting is it that we have to vote to keep and exercise our Second Amendment rights, those very rights that are not to be infringed. For those of you with an emotional or irrational fear of firearms in the hands of law-abiding citizens, you should really be more concerned and afraid and have a huge rational fear of firearms in the hands of in the unlawful hands of criminals who are in possession of illegal and stolen firearms. These criminals do not value life and will never follow gun laws or signs. Gun-free zones are not safer. They only create soft targets where the perpetrators know that will not be met with any resistance from any armed resistance. And a good guy with a gun does stop a bad guy with a gun. So there's at least 7 active shooting incidents where this has proven true. Stricter gun laws will not stop criminal activity or hate. They only disarm vetted and responsible citizens from defending themselves. Let's look at the recent active shooting at Brown University. Just days away from students being reunited with their families for the holidays, they were attacked at college. They thought they were safe. What they had was a false sense of security. Why? Because firearms aren't allowed on college campuses. They're gun-free zones. Because Rhode Island has very strict gun laws. And they felt that they were safe because they huddled together. They were unable to defend themselves. In an active shooter situation, you need to have someone that's present, armed, and willing within the first 30 seconds for a low victim count.
If you could wrap up your comments, thank you.
All set?
Yep.
My time's up.
Can you wrap up?
Yes,
Yep.
I can. So don't let your fear of firearms deny me my right to defend myself everywhere. I'm not the threat. Vote yes for the town of Charlton to opt out of administrative buildings, municipal buildings, and grounds and parking areas from being defined as prohibited space with firearms. And let's protect our civil rights while preserving the safety and values that make Charlton so special. And I want to thank you again for being here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Pecor. Mr. Sage,
Stephen Sage, can you hear me?
can we turn that up? Go ahead.
Testing.
Thank you.
Stephen Sage. I am the chairperson of the Charlton Public Library Board of Trustees.
And your
So my
address,
address
please?
is
Thank you.
40 Main Street in this particular case. At our Charlton regular meeting held on December 9th, 2025, the trustees unanimously voted not to support this article. We feel that the fact that the library is filled with children almost all the time, it makes it unsafe for them to have people wandering around with weapons on them, despite what was just said. As my daughter pointed out to me, and as was pointed out just now, we have no idea whether somebody in here right now is carrying a firearm. There's no way of checking. Nobody went through any screening process. We don't know whether anybody has entered the main town hall either. And we also don't know if anybody's gone into the library or any other place. So it's kind of moot anyway, because we're not going to know either way the vote goes. And as a point of clarification, whether the vote goes positive for this article or negative, residents in this town do have the opportunity to get signatures to either bring it forward again or bring forward a new article that rescinds this particular article. Is that correct?
Citizens petitions are not restricted. So I do retire in May, and there is a time limit when you file a petition before another meeting happens. So it's possible we could be on this topic again, but yes, people can continue to bring up issues on citizen petition.
Okay. That's my statement as far as a public servant elected in town. I do have another statement that I will wait after this next statement if I could have a different 3 minutes at that point.
If you could wrap up, you have 1 more minute remaining.
I'm done with my statement as a trustee of the Charlton Library. I do
Okay,
have a
thank
statement
you.
as a citizen.
Please continue while you're there.
Okay. Stephen Sage, 41 Lincoln Point Road. After applying and being granted a permit to carry a firearm, the permit is valid for 6 years. We require yearly checkups on our automobiles to make sure they are safe to operate, but not checkups on gun owners to see if they are safe to operate a handgun. The mental stability of a gun owner, and any person for that matter, can change very quickly. Take me, for example. For most of my life, I have considered myself to be a pacifist. In high school, I was attacked by a classmate and simply covered myself to protect my head and waited until others in my class pulled the attacker off of me. However, it has only taken a little over a year for me to change my mental thought pattern and possibly mental capacity. Now that we are celebrating our 250th anniversary of our independence from the tyrant leadership of England, I have come to the conclusion that political violence against tyrannical leaders may be necessary to restore our democracy here in the United States of America.
Could
If
you
I-
please restrict your comments
if-
to the 4 corners? No,
If-
please
if-
stop, people. This is
if-
not for you to shout people down.
If
I got it. Thank you.
If I apply
Mr.
for
Sage?
if I apply for a gun permit now, I might be denied due to my political beliefs that I just publicly proclaimed. I might possibly have supported this article if I felt there was adequately yearly mental health screening for
Thank you.
gun owners.
Thank you,
Since
Mr.
there is
Sage.
not,
You've made your point.
I cannot support this article.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Sir, would you introduce yourself and your address in Charlton? Thank you.
I'm Michael Sullivan, 58 Freeman Road, Charlton.
Thank you.
I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but at the last couple of times go-arounds on this, we've had some discussion about what this type of change would mean. And in reading it, I'd like to ask the question that I asked before, which is, when a building is functioning in an administrative capacity like this school is now for town meeting, does the law on guns preventing them from being in schools be overridden by a vote like this that would allow them in an otherwise non-school setting?
So my understanding is that this particular vote has no impact whatsoever on schools, and these would not be considered administrative town buildings. Schools are separate, and there are restrictions on guns in schools.
Right, so the same law that applies right now, today, would apply after a yes vote on this article.
After a yes vote, that's correct,
And
for the,
which
as
means
it
that-
pertains to schools.
Which means that people cannot carry, except police and law enforcement, in town meeting.
People cannot carry in town meeting or at places of polling and voting.
Thank you. That was my
Correct.
question.
Yep.
And thank you for being here and putting up with so much
Thank you.
contention,
This
but,
is all good,
I appreciate
so
your work.
thank
I know
you.
you're retiring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. All right, Mr. Singer.
David Singer, 2 Gilly Drive, just in response to Mr. Sage's comments regarding the library, so that people are aware, like any business or any building. If the library wanted to have a vote as their trustees to have a policy to prohibit firearms from the library, they can have their own policy for their building without having to affect the entire rest of the community. And quite frankly, the Board of Selectmen could have. If we wanted to have a policy for Town Hall, the board could without affecting the entire rest of our community. So if a particular department or building feels so strongly, they can take action to enact a policy for banning a firearm from their building without putting the rest of the town in an untenable position or taking away our Second Amendment rights, so we can't even cross certain properties to go hunting anymore. There's so much to this. Let the individual buildings, if they have a concern, put a policy in place for their building.
Thank you, Mr. Singer. Yes, sir. If you would state your name and your address in town.
Sure. My name is Adrian Avant. My address is 126 Southbridge Road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, members of the board. In addressing the topic, 2 questions should probably be asked. Do zones legally free from firearms create any safer of an environment? And what, if any, are the unintended consequences? To the first question, it became illegal to carry a firearm onto postal property, including buildings, grounds, and parking lots in 1972. This was reinforced in 1986 by federal criminal law. So has it been effective? The Sturbridge police log for January of last year shows an entry for a police response to the Sturbridge post office for an armed robbery. Therefore, making it illegal to carry in a post office has not created a safer environment. In fact, since nobody else in the building was allowed by law to defend themselves, it has done the exact opposite. As for the second question of unintended consequences, after reference a Massachusetts Supreme Court case, the Commonwealth versus Amory Reyes. Amory Reyes was a correctional officer at the Essex County House of Correction in Middleton. Upon arrival at work, he removed his gun and holster and placed them in his glove box in a locked car. At the end of his shift, internal officers asked him to search his vehicle. He told them that he had a firearm in his vehicle and unlocked the door. He was arrested and found guilty on improper carrying of a firearm in a motor vehicle and unlawful storing of a firearm. This was in the Salem District Court. Reyes appealed the case and it went to the Massachusetts Supreme Court, where the SJC final rulings were reversed both convictions for numerous reasons. Amory Reyes had to face arrest, employment of legal counsel, suspension during proceedings, conviction, and appeal before being eventually absolved of any criminal wrongdoing. because he had to put his firearm in his car when visiting a building.
If you could just wrap up, please. Thank you.
Thank you. No employee of the town ought to face criminal charges for going to work, nor should any citizen face similar for visiting a building, and no one in town ought to have concern over any stolen vehicle because a firearm had to be secured in it. The safest place for a firearm for all involved would be on the person themselves. This appears the best and safest answer to both questions and for all involved. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, please. Your name and place of residence?
Yes, thank you. Tim Emhoff, I live in 222 Burlingame Road here in Charlton. I've been retired for 5 years. I retired as the Chief of Trauma and Surgical Critical Care at UMass Medical Center. My whole career, I've been dealing with people bringing firearms into buildings, and that never turns out well. I'm here to say that I'm very much against allowing more firearms in buildings. We have a history in this country of those things not turning out well. But I do have a question because apparently I feel like this is probably going to pass. I want to know two things. Do we plan on having active shooter drills in municipal buildings if we know that now people can be carrying firearms? And number two, what would you say to me when I enter a building and I know that there's somebody in that building with a firearm? Is he a good guy with a firearm or a bad guy with a firearm? How do I respond to that?
So these are questions that I cannot answer this evening, but they are questions that you're posing relative to the proposal, and I thank you for your comments. Thank you. Yes.
Hello. My name is Jessica Barocas, 21 Old Worcester Road. I am a mom of 2. I have my license to carry. I believe strongly that I'm coming up here to rebuttal one of the second people who came up and said that we don't have any background checks. We have extensive background checks to carry our firearms. We have references of letters written for us. We have our past looked into, our backgrounds are checked. I think that this is a valid issue that I just want to put it out there. We have background checks. We are very much cleared. Also, I go and I shoot and I practice, and I know how to responsibly handle my firearm. I think it's very important to teach this, and I think that the people who are carrying are responsible in this manner. I am also a former public school teacher of 13 years of early childhood. I have been through those Alice safety trainings for active shooters, and you would not be worried about an active shooter and if it was a person who was a licensed to carry firearm operator. We are not the ones you should be worried about. We are not the ones you should be concerned about. We know our rights, we know safety, and if I go into that public library a lot with my young kids. Trust me, I would defend your children if somebody actively came in there trying to harm them. I would treat your kids like my own, and I would protect them like the mama bear that I am. So I am very much for keeping firearms allowed to be walking into these town buildings, because I believe that the citizens who are licensed to carry are responsible, and they know the rules of the law, and they are there to protect and defend their families. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Sir, would you state your name and address in town?
My name is Colin Foley. I live at 164 Burlingame Road, and I am strongly against people bringing firearms into any public building, specifically because of you don't know whether or not they're trained or not, as what she just said. Some people are not focused on close quarters combat, any sort of rigorous training whatsoever. So when it comes down to it, you could just go out and get your LTC, and if this passes, you'll be able to bring it into a public building, and people aren't familiar with you, and you may not be familiar with them. And that, where it comes down to statistically, is that that is not a probability that I am willing to take.
Thank you for sharing your comments. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Timothy Smith, 43 Casey Road, Charlton.
Mr. Smith?
I'd like to make a motion to move the question.
Second.
I'm just going to hold on moving the question for one more comment from this gentleman, and then we will move the question. Sir?
I have to go to the bathroom. Could we move the question, Madam?
I appreciate that. We're all on the same page. All right. Okay. We have a motion to move the question. Do we have a second? All in favor of moving the question, say aye. Anyone opposed to moving the question, say no. No. Okay, the ayes have it. And what's the vote from the other room for moving the question? Aye, everybody is shouting over there. They're happy to move the question. Okay. All right. So bring out your voting devices in this room and your cards in the cafeteria. And for those of you that have cards in this room, we will manually count you. So don't lose those cards. All right. For the voting devices, a yes vote, just a reminder, a yes is a vote to carry. A no is a vote to not carry in town administrative buildings. All right? Please vote now. Make sure your device reads okay on it when you're done. All right, 10 seconds remaining. Complete your votes. Yeah, you just have to be quiet here. Okay, please stop voting now. Please stay in the room while we tally all of the votes. Those with cards in this audience, please raise your cards if you are in favor of. Okay, I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep, 3 back there.
7, 8, 9. No okay. Are you a yay or nay? Yay. Okay, 10. All right, we have 10 additional manual yes votes. And may I see your device, please, so that I can confirm that? Thank you. That's not working. Yeah. Okay, that's everyone in this room. I need the manual, I'm sorry. Any nays with the cards? Please raise your card so that I can see it. I have 1. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Anyone here? 2? All right, we have 2 no's with the cards in this room. And we have a manual count coming from the other room.
Representative McCarthy's going to bring that over.
Thank you very much. So we're going to wait for that before we declare the result of the vote. And while that is happening, I would just remind you, this is such a great turnout. I hope you come back to town meetings. These are important questions that we do always consider. And at the end of every meeting, my husband and I make maple syrup. So I always do a door prize if you stick around long enough to see who wins. And I brought some homemade maple syrup with me, so, okay. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Here, let me do that with you. Okay, don't leave. We've got to announce this and then adjourn the meeting, and then there's the door prize. Okay, so the vote is in. We have 161 who voted no. We have 481 who voted yes. So the motion carries. Please don't leave yet, sir.
Madam Moderator, Bill Borowski, 69 Haggerty Road. I motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? All in favor say aye. Thank you. And who's got a birthday today? Who has a birthday today? I've got maple syrup for you.